Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we're going to wander back through the mists of time to a land that looks nothing like the one we know today, a time when vast forests stretched across the earth, and the ground shook beneath the steps of the largest creatures the world has ever known. This is the lost world of the dinosaurs. They were more than just giants with teeth and claws. They came in every size and shape imaginable, from creatures no bigger than a cat to titans that dwarfed buildings. Some glided through the trees, others thundered across the ground. They were the rulers of Earth for over 160 million years, far longer than humans have even existed. And even though they are gone, traces of them remain all around us. The bones we uncover, the feathers locked in amber, the faint imprint of a footprint left in mud that hardened into stone. And, of course, every bird alive today can trace their roots to these remarkable creatures. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, you can like and subscribe, or simply share a thought down in the comments. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, settle in, get comfortable, and allow yourself to drift as we explore the lost world of the dinosaurs. Let's begin. Dinosaurs were never really lizards. The very word dinosaur comes from the Greek words dinos and sauros, meaning terrible lizard. But in truth, dinosaurs weren't lizards at all. When the name was coined in the mid-19th century, scientists didn't yet understand how unique these creatures were. They simply saw bones of immense reptiles and imagined gigantic versions of modern lizards. But as fossil evidence grew, it became clear that dinosaurs belonged to their own extraordinary branch of life. Unlike lizards, their limbs were held straight beneath their bodies, giving them a powerful, upright posture for movement. Their hips, their breathing systems, and even their growth rates were distinct from the reptiles we know today. In fact, dinosaurs are more closely related to birds than to lizards. The name terrible lizard stuck, but the creatures it describes were far stranger, more diverse, and more astonishing than anyone first guessed. Dinosaurs ruled Earth for over 160 million years. It is almost impossible for the human mind to truly grasp just how long dinosaurs flourished. Our own species has only existed for a few 100,000 years, and recorded history covers just a few thousand. Dinosaurs, by contrast, reigned over the Earth for more than 160 million years, a time span so vast that it stretches the imagination. Entire continents drifted and reshaped themselves while dinosaurs adapted to new worlds. Oceans rose and fell, climates shifted from lush swamps to deserts, and through it all, dinosaurs survived, diversified, and thrived. Some lived in tropical forests, some near polar regions, and some in dry savannas. The sheer longevity of their dynasty reminds us that they were not failures, not doomed experiments, but among the most successful animals ever to live. By comparison, humanity has only just arrived at the party. Some dinosaurs were smaller than chickens. When we imagine dinosaurs, we often picture towering giants, colossal predators, and long-necked sauropods that could blot out the sky. But not all dinosaurs were massive. In fact, some species were smaller than chickens. Fossils of little theropods such as Microraptor reveal creatures scarcely 2 feet long, light enough to scamper up trees or glide between branches. Some had feathers that shimmered like iridescent beetle wings, turning them into dazzling bird-like jewels of the forest. These tiny dinosaurs were agile, quick, and probably curious little hunters of insects and small prey. They show us that dinosaurs weren't just about size, they filled every niche, from towering plant eaters to delicate feathered miniatures. When you hear the word dinosaur, it may be worth remembering not only the giants, but also these small, fragile forms that once shared the earth. Proof of the incredible variety that evolution can produce. The largest dinosaurs weighed more than a Boeing 747. Imagine standing beneath a creature so massive that its sheer bulk rivals the weight of an airplane. The largest known dinosaurs, the colossal sauropods like Argentinosaurus and Patagotitan, reached weights that scientists estimate at over 70 tons. That is more than a fully loaded Boeing 747. And yet these animals were living, breathing, moving beings, not machines of metal, but creatures of bone, muscle, and sinew. Their hearts had to pump blood up necks as long as a bus. Their skeletons had to bear unimaginable weight. Their lungs used air sacs, much like birds, to efficiently fuel their massive bodies. And still, they managed to move across floodplains and forests, shaking the ground as they walked. These dinosaurs were the heaviest land animals that ever lived, and their existence shows just how far life can stretch the boundaries of what is possible. Some dinosaurs could sprint faster than an Olympic runner. Though many dinosaurs were huge and lumbering, some were built for speed. Lightweight theropods like Ornithomimus had long, slender legs and stiff tails that acted like balancing rods. Fossil reconstructions suggest that some of these animals could reach speeds of over 40 miles per hour, faster than a human sprinter at the Olympic Games. Imagine herds of these sleek, ostrich-like dinosaurs dashing across ancient plains, their tails streaming behind them, their feet kicking up dust in rhythmic bursts. Speed would have been their best defense against predators, allowing them to outrun even formidable hunters. Their long strides and bird-like builds remind us that agility, not size, was sometimes the best survival tool. Just as modern gazelles or antelopes rely on speed, these nimble dinosaurs may have lived in tense balance with predators, always running just fast enough to survive another day. The tiniest dinosaur egg ever found is smaller than a quail's. Not all dinosaur eggs were massive stone-like boulders. Some were surprisingly delicate. Fossilized eggs attributed to tiny theropods reveal shells no larger than a marble, smaller than the eggs laid by many modern birds. These miniature treasures remind us that dinosaurs, like all animals, began life in fragile beginnings. Imagine a nest tucked in soft earth, lined with vegetation, holding a clutch of tiny speckled eggs. From these would hatch feathered young no bigger than your hand, their survival uncertain in a world of predators. These eggs show that dinosaurs, even the mightiest, had vulnerable starts. Fossils sometimes preserve entire nests, frozen in stone, with embryos curled inside. Each tiny egg is a time capsule, carrying a story from millions of years ago, a reminder that even the most powerful creatures on Earth began their journey in something small, delicate, and astonishingly fragile. The biggest dinosaur eggs were larger than a basketball. On the opposite end of the scale, some dinosaur eggs reached extraordinary sizes. The eggs of giant sauropods could measure more than a foot in length, easily larger than a basketball. Imagine stumbling across a nest filled with these enormous shells, half buried in ancient sands. Each one contained a creature destined to grow into a titan stretching more than 100 feet long. Yet even these giant eggs were small compared to the adults they would become. Scientists believe that sauropods laid many eggs at once, spreading their chances of survival, because most hatchlings were vulnerable. Fossilized nesting grounds reveal hundreds of eggs clustered together, entire colonies of sauropods returning year after year to the same safe places to lay their clutches. These vast nurseries tell us that even the largest dinosaurs relied on numbers and strategy to ensure that at least a few of their young survived. Many dinosaurs had feathers, not scales. For generations, dinosaurs were imagined as scaly reptiles, their hides rough and leathery. But fossil discoveries in China and beyond have rewritten this picture. Many species, especially small theropods, had feathers, sometimes simple, downy tufts, and sometimes elaborate plumes rivaling modern birds. These feathers may have kept them warm, displayed brilliant colors to attract mates, or even allowed gliding or primitive flight. Imagine a velociraptor not as a green, scaly predator, but as a bird-like hunter with sleek plumage, darting through the undergrowth. Fossils have preserved such details so clearly that we can even see feather impressions spread like halos around bones. Some species bore crests of quills, giving them dramatic silhouettes. These discoveries remind us that dinosaurs were not simply reptilian. They were closer to birds, vibrant and dynamic, wearing coats of feathers that transformed how we picture the ancient world. Some feathered dinosaurs glowed with shimmering colors. Feathers aren't just for warmth or flight, they are also canvases for color. Microscopic structures in fossilized feathers, called melanosomes, reveal hints of what colors ancient dinosaurs might have displayed. Some were matte black, others deep red, and some possessed iridescent qualities, shimmering like modern hummingbirds or starlings. Imagine a small dinosaur perched on a branch, its feathers catching the light in flashes of green, violet, and gold. These dazzling displays may have helped attract mates or establish dominance, much like peacocks do today. They also reveal how vibrant and alive the prehistoric world really was. Not a dull, grey land of beasts, but a place filled with flashes of color, shimmer, and spectacle. When we look at birds today, strutting or singing in vivid hues, we are glimpsing echoes of the spectacular feathered dinosaurs that once ruled Earth's skies and forests. The Tyrannosaurus rex could bite harder than any land animal ever. Few creatures inspire awe quite like the Tyrannosaurus rex. Its jaws were designed for one thing: power. Studies show that its bite force could reach an unimaginable 12,000 pounds, stronger than any other land animal in history. That is enough to crush bone clean through, turning prey into splintered fragments in seconds. Its teeth were not delicate knives, but thick, serrated tools shaped like bananas, perfect for gripping and tearing. When a T-Rex bit down, there was no escape. Bone, muscle, and armor all shattered beneath its power. And yet, T-Rex was not simply a brute. Fossil evidence shows it may have hunted with strategy, ambushing prey with bursts of speed. It may even have scavenged when opportunities arose. Whatever the case, its jaw remains the ultimate symbol of predatory dominance, a force unmatched on land, past or present. The Stegosaurus had a brain the size of a walnut. Few dinosaurs capture the imagination quite like the Stegosaurus, with its tall, bony plates rising like sails, and its fearsome tail tipped with spikes. Yet for all its impressive armor, the Stegosaurus had one of the smallest brains relative to body size of any known dinosaur. An adult weighing several tons carried a brain scarcely bigger than a walnut. For years, paleontologists puzzled over this. Some even speculated that Stegosaurus might have had a second brain near its hips to help control its massive body. But modern research suggests that wasn't the case. Instead, the tiny brain likely just meant a slow, plant-focused lifestyle with little need for complex planning. Still, despite its limited brain power, Stegosaurus thrived in its ecosystems, showing that intelligence is only one of many ways to succeed. It reminds us that survival sometimes depends more on armor and adaptation than cleverness. Sauropods grew to be longer than 3 school buses. The sheer size of sauropods defies comprehension. Creatures such as Diplodocus and Patagotitan grew so vast that their bodies stretched over 100 feet from nose to tail, longer than 3 full-sized school buses parked end to end. Standing beside one would have been like gazing up at a moving wall of muscle and bone. Their necks alone could extend more than 30 feet, allowing them to reach treetops or sweep across broad feeding areas without moving their enormous bodies. Their tails stretched behind them like living whips, balancing their colossal frames. How they supported such size is a question scientists still explore. Their bones were surprisingly lightweight, filled with air sacs much like those in modern birds, reducing weight without sacrificing strength. These giants reigned for millions of years, leaving behind fossils so immense that seeing them in person feels like stepping into another world. Some dinosaurs had up to 1,000 teeth. When you picture a dinosaur's mouth, you might imagine a row of sharp fangs or heavy grinding plates. But some dinosaurs had truly astonishing dental arrangements. Hadrosaurs, the so-called duck-billed dinosaurs, carried hundreds of teeth arranged in intricate batteries, with replacements waiting in line to emerge. In total, some species had over 1,000 teeth packed into their jaws. These were not just for show, they formed one of the most advanced chewing systems ever seen in a reptile, allowing hadrosaurs to grind through tough vegetation with efficiency rivaling that of modern mammals. Their teeth worked like giant food processors, slicing and shredding fibrous plants that would have been impossible for many other herbivores to digest. Even more remarkable, these teeth were continually replaced, so the dinosaurs never ran out of fresh grinding surfaces. Their dental power helped them flourish across continents, proving that in evolution, teeth can be as mighty as claws. Triceratops' horns could be over 3 feet long. The Triceratops is one of the most recognizable dinosaurs, with its massive frill and 3 distinctive horns. Those horns were not just decoration. The 2 above its eyes could grow over 3 feet long, curving forward like polished spears. Fossil evidence shows signs of wear, scratches, and even healed injuries, suggesting that Triceratops used them actively, whether in battles with predators like Tyrannosaurus rex or in duels with rivals of their own kind. Imagine herds of these great creatures, their horns locking in displays of dominance, or mothers lowering their heads to shield calves from danger. Combined with their wide frills, the horns may also have been used for visual communication, signaling age, health, or readiness to mate. Elegant yet deadly, they turned Triceratops into both an armored guardian and a living display of power. Ankylosaurs carried armor so strong it could resist a T-Rex bite. The ankylosaurs were living tanks. Their bodies were covered in thick, bony plates fused into their skin, forming a shield strong enough to withstand ferocious attacks. Some plates even bore ridges and spikes, adding extra deterrence. Their armor was so tough that even the bone-crushing bite of a Tyrannosaurus rex may have struggled to break through. Fossilized ankylosaurs sometimes show healed bite marks, proof that they survived predator encounters that would have killed less protected animals. As if that weren't enough, many species also wielded heavy tail clubs, solid masses of bone that could swing with devastating force. A single blow could shatter bone, even crippling a predator. These features made ankylosaurs nearly impregnable, slow-moving fortresses of the late Cretaceous. In the dangerous arms race of predator and prey, ankylosaurs remind us that defense can be as awe-inspiring as offense. Some dinosaurs had tails tipped with deadly clubs. But the back end of many ankylosaurs swung one of the most extraordinary weapons nature ever devised, the tail club. Built from fused vertebrae and dense bone, these clubs could weigh several dozen pounds and were swung with the power of living wrecking balls. Imagine a predator approaching, jaws open, only to be met with a bone-cracking strike to the leg. A direct hit could break bones, leaving even mighty hunters crippled. Fossil evidence shows that these clubs evolved late in ankylosaur history, suggesting an escalation in the evolutionary battle between predators and prey. They turned slow, armored herbivores into creatures not just protected but armed, capable of fighting back against even the deadliest attackers. In the world of dinosaurs, the tail club was one of evolution's most dramatic inventions. Part shield, part hammer, part warning to anyone daring enough to come too close. Others had tails tipped with whip-like spikes. While ankylosaurs carried heavy clubs, other dinosaurs wielded very different weapons. The Stegosaurus, with its distinctive row of plates along its back, ended its tail with a set of long, sharp spikes, often 4 in number. Paleontologists call this weapon a thanatomizer, a playful name coined in a cartoon but now used in scientific papers. These spikes could reach several feet in length, and fossil evidence shows they were sometimes broken or damaged, proof they were used in combat. Picture a Stegosaurus swinging its muscular tail in wide arcs, the spikes cutting through the air like spears. Predators foolish enough to come close risked impalement. Combined with its size and armor-like plates, the spiked tail made Stegosaurus a formidable opponent despite its small brain. It's a vivid reminder that dinosaurs evolved an astonishing range of defenses, from heavy armor to lightning-fast weapons. Certain species could grow new teeth throughout their lives. Unlike humans, who grow only 2 sets of teeth, many dinosaurs replaced theirs constantly, ensuring they never ran out of tools for feeding. Predators like Tyrannosaurus rex would wear down teeth with their bone-crunching diets, but new ones were always forming in the jaw, ready to push forward and replace the old. Some species grew a fresh tooth every few weeks. Herbivores, too, relied on constant renewal, since grinding plants wore down teeth quickly. Fossilized jaws sometimes show rows of teeth in various stages of growth, like conveyor belts moving forward. This adaptation meant that no matter how demanding their diet, dinosaurs always had sharp, functional teeth. It's a feature still seen in reptiles like crocodiles today, linking them to their distant cousins of the past. For dinosaurs, teeth were renewable tools, as essential to survival as claws or armor. The velociraptor was only about the size of a turkey. Hollywood gave Velociraptor an image of a large, terrifying pack hunter, but the reality was rather different. True velociraptors were about the size of turkeys, weighing maybe 15 to 20 pounds. They were feathered, bird-like, and far smaller than the movie monsters many imagine. But don't let the size fool you. These were agile, intelligent predators with razor-sharp claws on each foot. Their sickle-shaped talon could slash into prey with deadly precision. Fossil evidence even captures one velociraptor locked in combat with a protoceratops, both creatures frozen mid-battle for eternity. Though small, velociraptors hunted with cunning and agility, relying on speed and sharpness rather than brute force. In their ecosystems, they were deadly enough, striking at small prey or scavenging when opportunities arose. Their story reminds us that danger isn't always measured in size. Sometimes it's about agility, precision, and perfect adaptation. Raptors likely hunted in packs. One of the most chilling ideas about raptors is that they may have worked together, coordinating their efforts like wolves or lions. Fossil sites suggest groups of raptor-like dinosaurs died together, perhaps after hunting as a unit. Their lightweight bodies, keen senses, and sickle claws made them dangerous individually, but as a group they could have overwhelmed larger prey. Imagine a pack of swift, feathered hunters fanning out across a clearing, some driving prey forward while others dart in from the sides. It is a haunting picture, one that may have played out countless times in the late Cretaceous. Whether Velociraptor specifically hunted this way remains debated, but related species like Deinonychus show strong evidence of cooperative behavior. If true, these dinosaurs were not only deadly in form, but sophisticated in strategy, proving that intelligence and teamwork were as important in prehistory as they are today. Some dinosaurs had hollow bones, like modern birds. When paleontologists first uncovered the long neck bones of sauropods and the light frames of theropods, they were struck by their construction. The bones weren't solid like ours, but hollow, reinforced with thin walls and air spaces. This might sound fragile, but it was a brilliant adaptation. Hollow bones were strong enough to bear enormous weight, yet light enough to reduce the strain of carrying huge bodies or running swiftly. They also tied into complex respiratory systems that allowed air to flow efficiently. Today, birds share the same adaptation, their hollow bones helping them stay light for flight. This connection reinforces the deep link between dinosaurs and modern birds, showing that some of the most extraordinary adaptations of prehistory still live on in sparrows, eagles, and pigeons. The bones of dinosaurs were not just bones, they were architectural marvels of strength and efficiency. Birds are technically living dinosaurs. Perhaps the most astonishing truth about dinosaurs is that they never really vanished. Every bird alive today, from the tiny hummingbird to the mighty ostrich, is a direct descendant of theropod dinosaurs. That means dinosaurs are still with us, flying in the skies, hopping along sidewalks, or singing outside your window. The link is not metaphorical but biological. Feathers, hollow bones, brooding behavior, even wishbones all trace back to dinosaur ancestors. When you look at a chicken scratching in the dirt, you are watching a modern dinosaur. This revelation has transformed our understanding of extinction. Dinosaurs didn't completely disappear at the end of the Cretaceous. They simply changed, adapted, and took wing. Knowing this makes the modern world feel richer, alive with echoes of a prehistoric age. The next time you see a bird, you are seeing a living piece of deep time. The Archaeopteryx was the first known bird-like dinosaur. In the 19th century, a fossil was unearthed in Germany that seemed to straddle two worlds. Called Archaeopteryx, it had the teeth, claws, and long tail of a dinosaur, but also feathers and wings like a bird. It was a stunning discovery, a transitional creature that offered a glimpse of how flight may have evolved. Archaeopteryx likely glided among the trees, perhaps flapping short bursts, but not yet capable of sustained flight. Its feathers show exquisite detail, with patterns that reveal both function and beauty. For decades, it was the symbol of evolution in action, proof that traits could transform over time to produce entirely new ways of living. Today, it remains one of the most famous fossils ever found, a bridge between the age of dinosaurs and the world of birds. Looking at it feels like peering into evolution's workshop. Dinosaurs were warm-blooded, not cold-blooded. For years, dinosaurs were portrayed as sluggish, cold-blooded reptiles, basking in the sun for warmth like modern lizards. But mounting evidence suggests many were warm-blooded, with metabolisms closer to birds and mammals than reptiles. Growth rings in bones, isotopic analysis, and the presence of feathers all point to creatures capable of maintaining steady internal temperatures. This would have given them the energy to be active hunters, long-distance walkers, and attentive parents. Imagine herds of warm-blooded dinosaurs migrating across vast landscapes, their bodies generating heat to keep them moving through changing climates. This shift in understanding transforms our vision of the prehistoric world, not a land of sluggish beasts, but a dynamic, bustling ecosystem of active, thriving animals. Dinosaurs weren't just enormous, they were energetic, warm, and alive in ways we once never imagined. Some dinosaurs had built-in air sacs to breathe more efficiently. Breathing at the scale of a giant sauropod is no simple task. To move enough oxygen through their bodies, many dinosaurs had evolved systems of air sacs connected to their lungs, much like modern birds. These sacs allowed air to flow in one direction, ensuring a constant supply of fresh oxygen rather than the in and out system humans rely on. This adaptation gave them incredible efficiency, fueling both colossal size in sauropods and high activity in smaller theropods. Fossilized bones with hollow chambers reveal where these sacs once rested. Picture a sauropod inhaling, its enormous lungs supported by vast airways, allowing it to process the air of its world with remarkable precision. This system helped them thrive in climates with different oxygen levels than today, a secret respiratory advantage written in their very bones. Diplodocus could whip its tail at the speed of sound. The tail of a diplodocus wasn't just long, it was a flexible, whip-like structure that may have reached incredible speeds. Some scientists believe it could be snapped with enough force to break the sound barrier, producing a small sonic boom. If true, it would have been one of the loudest sounds generated by any land animal in history. Whether this ability was used for defense, communication, or courtship is still debated, but the idea of herds of diplodocus cracking their tails across prehistoric plains is breathtaking. The whiptail could also have served as a deterrent, startling predators or signaling dominance within the herd. Even if not every theory proves correct, the sheer potential written into the anatomy of Diplodocus shows how nature experimented with extraordinary adaptations. A single tail could be both a balance, a weapon, and perhaps even a thunderous voice. Spinosaurus may have hunted both on land and in water. The Spinosaurus was unlike any other large carnivorous dinosaur. With its crocodile-like snout, conical teeth, and sail-like back, it was already unusual. But fossil evidence suggests something more. Spinosaurus may have been semi-aquatic, hunting in rivers and lakes as well as on land. Its bones were dense, helping it sink and move through water, and its powerful tail may have worked like a paddle. Imagine a predator longer than Tyrannosaurus, gliding beneath the surface like a reptilian crocodile, waiting to ambush fish or smaller creatures that came too close. It represents a remarkable departure from the stereotype of land-stalking predators. Spinosaurus reminds us that dinosaurs were endlessly inventive, filling niches we once thought impossible. It may have been the first truly aquatic dinosaur, a lord of both riverbanks and watery depths. Some dinosaurs could swim. For a long time, dinosaurs were imagined as strictly land-based creatures, but fossils and trackways reveal that many species were capable swimmers. Footprints preserved in ancient riverbeds show dinosaurs paddling with steady strokes, their claws scratching the bottom before pushing off into deeper waters. Even large theropods like T-Rex may have been able to cross rivers, their buoyant bodies keeping them afloat, while their strong legs propelled them forward. Smaller species likely darted through lakes or ponds, chasing fish or escaping predators. Being able to swim would have been an essential survival skill in a world where rivers crisscrossed continents and floodplains often changed with the seasons. Far from being awkward land giants, dinosaurs were versatile, capable of navigating not just land but water, broadening their reach into nearly every environment Earth had to offer. Others may have glided between trees like flying squirrels. Some small, feathered dinosaurs may have taken to the skies in a way that wasn't quite flying, but more than simply leaping. Fossils of creatures such as Yi-Chi reveal elongated fingers supporting membranous wings, suggesting that these animals could glide between trees much like flying squirrels today. Others, with feathered limbs, may have spread their arms and legs wide to catch air currents, drifting gracefully from branch to branch. These experiments in flight show the incredible variety of evolutionary paths dinosaurs explored before true powered flight emerged in birds. Imagine a forest canopy alive with tiny gliders, their feathers shimmering as they coasted silently between trees. It paints a picture of prehistoric skies not as empty spaces but as buzzing, dynamic worlds where dinosaurs tested the very first blueprints of flight. Pterosaurs weren't dinosaurs, but they lived alongside them. Though often lumped together with dinosaurs, pterosaurs belonged to a different branch of reptiles. They were the first vertebrates to achieve true powered flight, long before birds or bats. With wingspans ranging from the size of a sparrow to over 30 feet across, they dominated the skies above dinosaur worlds. Some skimmed fish from oceans, others soared like albatrosses over open seas, and some stalked prey on the ground with long, beaked jaws. Pterosaurs evolved alongside dinosaurs, sharing their ecosystems for over 150 million years. They were not dinosaurs, but they were part of the same grand stage, filling the skies while dinosaurs ruled the land. Together they created a world alive with motion, power, and diversity. The skies of the Mesozoic were not empty. They were filled with the wing beats of extraordinary creatures. Some dinosaurs could lay clutches of dozens of eggs at once. When we imagine a dinosaur nest, it's easy to picture a few giant eggs nestled in the sand. But some dinosaurs laid clutches of dozens of eggs at a time, turning their nesting sites into true hatchling factories. Sauropods, for example, are believed to have laid vast numbers of eggs to increase the odds that at least a few young would survive the dangers of their world. Fossilized nesting grounds reveal clusters of eggs spread across wide areas, suggesting that herds returned year after year to the same spots, much like sea turtles today. These communal nesting sites must have been alive with activity, females carefully laying eggs, hatchlings breaking free of shells, and predators waiting nearby for an easy meal. The strategy of laying many eggs at once reveals the precarious balance of survival. For dinosaurs, ensuring the future often meant producing life on a massive scale. Baby dinosaurs sometimes stayed in nests for months. Some dinosaurs weren't ready to wander the world right after hatching. Fossil evidence suggests that certain species, like hadrosaurs, kept their young in nests for weeks or even months. These fragile babies relied on protection and care, perhaps from one or both parents. Impressions of tiny bones show growth stages that couldn't have supported independent life, hinting that they stayed close to the safety of home. Imagine a nest filled with downy hatchlings, chirping softly while a mother or father guarded nearby. Parents may have brought food, shaded the nest from heat, or defended against predators. This behavior, so bird-like, underscores the evolutionary link between dinosaurs and modern birds. It also paints a tender picture of prehistory, where even colossal creatures invested time and energy into nurturing their young. Far from being cold, unfeeling reptiles, dinosaurs may have lived in family groups filled with care and cooperation. Fossilized dinosaur tracks show herds moving together. Sometimes the most revealing fossils aren't bones at all, but footprints. Vast fossilized trackways show dozens, even hundreds, of dinosaurs walking together in the same direction. These traces suggest that many species, including sauropods and hadrosaurs, traveled in herds much like modern elephants or wildebeest. Walking in groups would have provided protection, with the strongest adults on the outside and young sheltered in the center. The tracks also show pace and rhythm, some animals strolling side by side, others speeding up or slowing down. In some cases, tracks of predators appear alongside those of herbivores, a snapshot of ancient life and death unfolding in stone. These pathways tell us about social behavior in ways bones cannot. They reveal that dinosaurs weren't solitary wanderers, but often lived as part of complex communities, moving across landscapes together in dynamic, ever-shifting herds. Some dinosaurs may have migrated hundreds of miles seasonally. Migration is one of nature's most astonishing behaviors, and dinosaurs may have been masters of it. Fossil evidence suggests that some species traveled enormous distances to follow food and favorable climates. For instance, trackways in North America hint at herds of hadrosaurs moving seasonally, perhaps hundreds of miles at a time. Isotope studies of fossilized teeth support the idea, showing chemical signatures that match water sources far apart. Imagine vast lines of dinosaurs marching across floodplains, mothers guiding young, predators shadowing the herds, and ancient skies filled with pterosaurs soaring overhead. Seasonal migrations would have carried them through changing environments, from lush forests to open plains, ensuring survival during harsh times. Just as modern caribou and wildebeest still undertake epic migrations today, dinosaurs may have been following similar ancient patterns, driven by instinct to chase abundance across continents. Dinosaurs lived on every continent, even Antarctica. Dinosaurs were truly global creatures. Fossils have been found on every continent, from North America to Asia, from Africa to Antarctica. During the Mesozoic era, the continents were arranged differently, often joined together in vast land masses that made migration easier. As Earth's plates drifted apart, dinosaurs adapted to new environments, filling niches from deserts to forests to coastal wetlands. The discovery of fossils in Antarctica is especially striking. Though it's frozen today, Antarctica once supported forests, rivers, and dinosaurs. The presence of these creatures on all 7 continents shows just how adaptable they were. No matter the climate or geography, dinosaurs found ways to thrive. This global spread explains their incredible diversity, with unique species evolving in different regions. From the icy poles to the equator, dinosaurs left their footprints everywhere. A true planetary dynasty that spanned more of Earth than any other group of land animals. Antarctica once had forests full of dinosaurs. It's hard to imagine Antarctica without its icy deserts and glaciers. Yet during the age of dinosaurs, the southernmost continent was a green and fertile place, covered in forests. Fossilized wood, leaves, and dinosaur bones reveal a land that was once warm enough to sustain lush plant life. Sauropods, theropods, and ornithopods all left their mark here. Long summer days bathed the forests in endless light, while winter plunged them into months of darkness. Dinosaurs in Antarctica had to adapt to these extreme cycles, perhaps growing thick coats of feathers or storing energy to survive long winters. These polar dinosaurs remind us how different Earth's climate once was. Imagine towering conifers stretching across the Antarctic landscape, herds of dinosaurs weaving among the trees, and the air rich with the scents of vegetation. It's a vision of Antarctica almost impossible to believe, but written in stone for us to discover. Dinosaurs once lived above the Arctic Circle. Just as Antarctica hosted dinosaurs, so too did the far north. Fossils discovered in Alaska and other Arctic regions show that dinosaurs once roamed near the North Pole. These hardy creatures endured long winters with little sunlight, relying on adaptations to survive in near-freezing conditions. Tracks and bones suggest herds of hadrosaurs lived there year-round, not merely migrating in for summer. Imagine the sight: herds of dinosaurs foraging among stunted trees, snow crunching beneath their feet, steam rising from their warm-blooded bodies into the icy air. Predators, too, lived in these environments, hunting in a land where darkness lasted for months. These Arctic dinosaurs demonstrate the astonishing versatility of the group. They were not limited to warm, tropical climates, but could endure and even flourish at the very edges of Earth's habitable zones. Their resilience is one reason they thrived for so long. Some dinosaurs could survive months of darkness during polar winters. In the polar regions of the Mesozoic, winters brought months of darkness. Yet dinosaurs found ways to cope. Fossils suggest some had keen night vision, with large eyes adapted for low light. Others may have relied on social behaviors, huddling together for warmth and protection, much like penguins today. Their warm-blooded physiology would have given them an advantage over cold-blooded reptiles, allowing them to stay active even in freezing conditions. Hatchlings may have been born during the endless daylight of summer, giving them time to grow strong before the long night set in. Imagine a herd of feathered herbivores, slowly moving through a shadowed forest, glowing starlight above, predators lurking unseen in the gloom. These adaptations reveal a world far more complex than we once imagined, with dinosaurs thriving not just in the bright tropics, but in the long, cold darkness of ancient polar winters. Hadrosaurs are called duck-billed dinosaurs. Among the most distinctive dinosaurs were the hadrosaurs, nicknamed duck-billed dinosaurs for their broad, flat snouts. Their jaws were marvels of engineering, packed with hundreds of teeth arranged in rows that worked like grinding machines. With their bills, they could crop plants efficiently, stripping leaves or slicing stems, then chew them with remarkable precision. Some species grew to more than 30 feet long and lived in large herds, grazing much like today's bison or wildebeest. Their fossils are among the most common dinosaur remains, suggesting they were highly successful and widespread. But their duck-billed faces weren't just for eating. Many species also sported elaborate crests or hollow skull extensions, turning them into some of the most visually striking dinosaurs. The nickname duck-billed might sound whimsical, but it hides the reality. These were among the most advanced and ecologically important herbivores of their time. Some hadrosaurs could make deep, resonant calls with hollow crests. The hollow crests of certain hadrosaurs were more than just ornaments, they were resonating chambers. Species like Parasaurolophus had long, curved crests filled with air passages. Scientists believe these acted like musical instruments, allowing the dinosaurs to produce deep, haunting calls that carried for miles. These sounds may have been used to warn of predators, attract mates, or communicate within herds. Imagine a group of hadrosaurs grazing at sunset, then one lifting its head to release a low, vibrating call that echoes across the floodplain. The others answer, their voices blending into a chorus of prehistoric music. Computer models of these crests suggest the tones were deep and resonant, closer to foghorns than birdsongs. This discovery adds another dimension to the way we imagine dinosaurs, not just seen as fossils, but heard as living creatures filling their world with sound. Parasaurolophus' crest was as long as 6 feet. The crest of Parasaurolophus was one of the most extravagant features in the dinosaur world. Stretching up to 6 feet long, it curved gracefully backward from the skull like a natural trumpet. Inside were looping passages connected to the nasal cavity, giving it the ability to produce complex calls. The crest may also have served as a visual display, its size and shape signaling health or dominance. Some scientists even speculate it might have been brightly colored, turning the dinosaur into a dramatic spectacle. Standing nearly 30 feet long and weighing several tons, Parasaurolophus was already impressive. But its crest elevated it into a creature of both sight and sound, a prehistoric musician, broadcasting its presence across ancient landscapes. Few features capture the imagination like this elegant structure, a fusion of form and function that made the hadrosaur truly unique among dinosaurs. Some dinosaurs could hear in infrasonic ranges humans cannot. Sound is one of the most important ways animals interact with the world. While humans hear a narrow band of frequencies, many dinosaurs may have had ears tuned to deeper, lower sounds. Fossil studies of skulls suggest that hadrosaurs in particular could detect infrasonic ranges, vibrations too low for human ears. These deep rumbles travel long distances, even through the ground, making them ideal for communication across herds spread over wide areas. Imagine dinosaurs calling to each other with low, vibrating tones, messages rolling invisibly across the landscape. Such sounds could have coordinated migrations, warned of predators, or helped mothers and young stay connected. Today, elephants and whales use infrasound in similar ways. That dinosaurs may have shared this ability highlights the sophistication of their world, a realm not just of sights and movements, but of sounds too deep for us to ever truly hear. Dinosaur skin impressions show scales, feathers, and even quills. Most fossils capture bones, but every so often we find something even more extraordinary: impressions of dinosaur skin. These rare discoveries preserve the textures of life, showing that dinosaurs came in a remarkable variety of coverings. Some bore rough reptilian scales patterned in mosaics. Others had downy feathers or long quills sprouting from their skin. In some cases, these impressions reveal patterns and ridges that hint at colors or camouflage. They tell us dinosaurs weren't uniform or drab. They were textured, patterned, and diverse. Imagine running your hand along the scaly flank of a hadrosaur, then brushing feathers on a small theropod, or seeing quill-like structures standing in sharp outlines against the sky. These impressions collapse the distance of millions of years, giving us direct contact with the surfaces of creatures long vanished. They show dinosaurs not as skeletons, but as living, breathing beings with skin that told a story. Some had brightly colored frills and crests to attract mates. Display is as much a part of nature as survival, and dinosaurs were no exception. Many species carried elaborate frills, crests, or horns that may have been splashed with bright colors. These features could have served as signals, helping individuals attract mates or establish social rank. Picture a ceratopsium with a wide, bony frill painted in reds and blues, or a hadrosaur's crest striped with brilliant hues that shimmered in sunlight. These displays might have been the dinosaur equivalent of a peacock's tail, extravagant, eye-catching, and impossible to ignore. Fossil evidence of blood vessel patterns in frills suggests they were well supplied, capable of supporting vivid colors. In the silent fossil record, these hues are lost, but imagining them restores life to creatures that were not just powerful survivors, but also artists of appearance. Dinosaurs lived in a world of color, where beauty was as vital as strength. Carnotaurus had tiny, almost useless arms. The Carnotaurus was one of the strangest predators ever to walk the earth. Its skull bore horns above the eyes, giving it a devilish look, and its body was sleek and built for speed. But its arms were almost comically small, even shorter than those of Tyrannosaurus rex. They were so tiny that scientists struggled to understand their function at all. Unlike T. rex, whose arms may have been strong despite their size, Carnotaurus's arms appear to have been practically useless, with stiff joints that limited movement. Perhaps they played a role in mating displays, or maybe they were simply evolutionary leftovers, reduced as other traits became more important. Despite this oddity, Carnotaurus was a formidable predator, fast and agile, capable of chasing down prey with terrifying efficiency. Its absurdly tiny arms are a reminder that evolution doesn't always produce perfection. Sometimes it leaves us with mysteries. Tyrannosaurus had arms stronger than expected, enough to lift hundreds of pounds. The arms of Tyrannosaurus rex are often mocked for their size, but in truth, they were far from useless. Each arm was short, yes, but heavily muscled, capable of lifting weights of several hundred pounds. The claws were sharp and strong, suggesting they could have been used to grip prey, slash in close combat, or hold on to mates during reproduction. Their small size may have protected them from breaking during hunts, keeping them out of the way of the dinosaur's massive head and jaws, which did most of the killing. Far from being vestigial, T-Rex's arms were likely highly specialized tools. They remind us that appearances can deceive. What looks ridiculous at first may conceal a powerful purpose. The arms of Tyrannosaurus, like much of its body, were built for survival in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. Oviraptors may have been excellent parents. The name oviraptor means egg thief, coined in the early 20th century when fossils were found near clutches of eggs. Scientists assumed the dinosaur was stealing them, but later discoveries revealed something far different. The oviraptor was not stealing eggs, but brooding over its own. Fossils have been found with adults preserved in protective postures, wings spread across nests to shield their young, just like modern birds. Some even show parents covering eggs during sandstorms or floods, refusing to abandon them even at the cost of their own lives. This evidence has transformed oviraptor from a villain into a symbol of care. It demonstrates that dinosaurs, like birds today, could be attentive and devoted parents. The discovery rewrites not just the story of one species, but our entire understanding of how dinosaurs nurtured their young, making their world feel far more alive and familiar. Fossils show some dinosaurs brooding their nests like birds. Beyond oviraptors, several species of dinosaurs have been discovered preserved atop nests, frozen in time in poses nearly identical to modern birds incubating eggs. Their forelimbs spread protectively, their bodies crouched to provide warmth. They demonstrate a direct link between dinosaurs and avian behavior. These brooding fossils show that nurturing instincts are ancient, stretching back tens of millions of years. Some species may have even rotated their eggs, a behavior seen in birds today to ensure even development. These discoveries add tenderness to our image of dinosaurs, reminding us that they were not just predators or prey, but parents. They lived lives full of complex behaviors, balancing survival with care for their offspring. To picture a dinosaur huddled over a nest, feathers puffed against the wind, is to glimpse a prehistoric scene that feels uncannily familiar, echoing through time to every robin or sparrow's nest we see today. Some baby dinosaurs had sharp teeth that later disappeared. Fossils of dinosaur hatchlings reveal something surprising. Some species were born with small, sharp teeth that vanished as they grew older. These teeth may have helped them break through eggshells or eat different diets as fragile youngsters. For example, early hatchlings may have needed to nip at insects or soft plants before transitioning to the tougher vegetation adults consumed. Over time, as they grew, their teeth changed to match their adult lifestyle. This strange shift shows how dynamic dinosaur development could be, with bodies and diets transforming dramatically through life stages. Imagine a nest full of tiny hatchlings, their little jaws lined with sharp points, only to lose them as they matured into horned or duck-billed adults. These fleeting teeth remind us that evolution doesn't just shape species across generations, it also molds individuals, stage by stage, from fragile beginnings to towering adulthood. Some grew incredibly fast, gaining dozens of pounds a day. Dinosaurs didn't always grow slowly. In fact, many species experienced astonishing growth spurts. Bone studies reveal growth rings, much like trees, that show how quickly some dinosaurs packed on weight. Large herbivores could add dozens of pounds every single day, rocketing from vulnerable hatchlings to multi-ton giants in just a few years. Rapid growth may have been essential for survival, allowing them to outpace predators during their most vulnerable stages. Imagine a young sauropod, barely the size of a dog, swelling to the size of a horse within a year, and then to the length of a bus a few years later. Their bodies were metabolic furnaces, burning through food and converting it into size and strength. This incredible pace of growth helps explain how dinosaurs reached their massive sizes in the short span of a single lifetime. Dinosaurs came in a rainbow of colors, not just green or brown. For much of the 20th century, dinosaurs were depicted as drab creatures, gray, green, or brown, blending into prehistoric swamps. But recent fossil discoveries have painted a much richer picture. The microscopic structures that once gave feathers their color, called melanosomes, have been preserved in some fossils. When scientists examine them under powerful microscopes, they can compare their shapes to those in modern birds and infer the colors they once produced. The results are astonishing. Dinosaurs came in a dazzling range of hues, from earthy tones to bold blacks, reds, and even shimmering iridescence. Imagine a small raptor glistening with blue and green like a hummingbird, or a feathered dinosaur glowing copper red in the sunlight. These revelations changed the way we visualize the ancient world. It wasn't a land of dull-colored beasts, but a vibrant, rainbow-filled planet alive with brilliant displays of feathers, scales, and patterns. Fossils revealed traces of red, orange, black, and even iridescent hues. The discovery of preserved pigment structures in dinosaur feathers has given us direct evidence of their ancient palette. Some fossils show melanosomes shaped like rods and spheres, each type linked to particular colors in modern birds. Long-extinct dinosaurs have been revealed to have black feathers tipped with fiery orange, while others shimmered with iridescent hues like those of starlings or crows. The Chinese dinosaur Anchiornis, for example, bore a striking black and white body with a rusty red crown, a vivid pattern more reminiscent of a woodpecker than a reptile. These details collapse millions of years, giving us not just skeletons, but glimpses of living animals. Imagine standing in a prehistoric forest, sunlight filtering through leaves, catching iridescent flashes of feathered dinosaurs moving in the canopy. Their colors weren't just survival tools, they were signals, stories, and displays, adding richness to the vibrant tapestry of the Mesozoic world. Some dinosaurs had camouflage patterns. Survival often depended on blending into the background, and some dinosaurs mastered camouflage. Fossil evidence shows banded patterns on certain small feathered species, resembling the striping and mottling seen in modern birds. These markings likely helped them hide in forests or grasslands, vanishing into shadows when predators prowled. Just as tigers' stripes break up their outlines today, these dinosaurs may have been painted in natural camouflage. Even large herbivores might have benefited from patterns that softened their massive forms in the dappled light of forests. Imagine a small dinosaur crouched in leaf litter, its striped body invisible until it suddenly darted forward to catch prey. Camouflage tells us that dinosaurs didn't just rely on brute strength or armor. Many also depended on subtlety and stealth. It makes the ancient world feel alive with strategy, where color was not just beauty, but a matter of life and death. Others likely used bold patterns to scare rivals. Camouflage wasn't the only use of color. Some dinosaurs probably flaunted bold, contrasting patterns to intimidate rivals or attract mates. Just as a peacock's tail dazzles with impossible extravagance, some dinosaurs may have worn bright patches, bold stripes, or dramatic spots that were impossible to ignore. Modern birds show us how powerful such signals can be. A sudden flash of wings or a raised crest can transform a small bird into a spectacle. Imagine a ceratopsian with a frill painted in radiant blues and yellows, rearing up to frighten an opponent. Or a raptor spreading its feathered arms to reveal bright, eye-catching patterns meant to shock prey or rival hunters. Fossils give us clues in preserved pigments and fill structures, but much remains guesswork. Still, the evidence points toward a prehistoric world not just full of hidden camouflage, but also of bold, living canvases flaunting color with purpose. Ceratopsians had frills that may have displayed species identity. Ceratopsians, the horned dinosaurs like Triceratops, were crowned with vast bony frills that extended from the back of their skulls. While these frills may have offered some defense, many were extravagantly shaped and riddled with openings, making them less effective as shields. Instead, scientists believe they were visual displays, possibly used to signal identity, maturity, or health. Different ceratopsian species bore unique frill shapes, some with scalloped edges, others with elaborate horns or spikes. Imagine herds of ceratopsians spread across a plain, each animal's frill flashing like a living banner, communicating who they were and what they could offer. Just as antlers or manes carry messages in animals today, frills may have been prehistoric billboards of information. These ornate structures transformed the skull into something more than bone, a social signal that shaped the lives of entire species. Pachycephalosaurs had domed skulls thicker than a baseball bat. Among the strangest dinosaurs were the pachycephalosaurs, known for their thick, domed skulls. These rounded helmets of bone could be more than 10 inches thick, thicker than a baseball bat is wide. Some species carried additional knobs and spikes around the dome, turning their heads into fearsome clubs. Scientists long debated the purpose of these structures. Were they for defense against predators, or something else? The leading theory is that they were used in contests between members of the same species, much like rams clash today. Imagine two pachycephalosaurs charging across a clearing, their domes crashing together with bone-shaking force. The thick bone absorbed the impact, protecting their brains while delivering dramatic displays of strength. These skulls remind us that in evolution, even the head itself can become a weapon, a tool for survival, rivalry, and spectacle. They may have head-butted each other in contests. The thick skull domes of pachycephalosaurs were almost certainly not for show alone. Fossils reveal healed injuries, depressions, and damage that suggest frequent impacts, supporting the idea that these dinosaurs head-butted one another in ritual contests. Much like mountain goats or bighorn sheep, males may have battled for dominance, territory, or the right to mate. Picture two dinosaurs squaring off, circling each other before lunging forward, their domes colliding with thunderous cracks. The sound alone would have echoed through forests, a living drumbeat of competition. Not all contests may have been violent. Some could have been displays, with head tilts and postures signaling strength without full contact. These behaviors connect them to patterns still seen in animals today, where rituals of combat and display decide social order. The fossilized scars of pachycephalosaurs give us a glimpse into a world of prehistoric rivalry and ritual. Some dinosaurs could regrow broken horns. Horns were among the most striking features of many dinosaurs, from the long spears of Triceratops to the ornate headgear of ceratopsians and other species. But what happens when a horn breaks? Fossil evidence suggests that some dinosaurs could regenerate damaged horns, growing new tissue to repair or replace what was lost. Studies of fossilized skulls show healed fractures and signs of regrowth, proof of a remarkable resilience. This ability would have been crucial in a world where horns were used for combat, defense, and display. Imagine two ceratopsians locking horns in a clash, one horn snapping, only for the dinosaur to regrow it over time, ready to battle again. Horn regeneration adds yet another layer to our understanding of these creatures. They weren't just armored and armed, but capable of repairing the very weapons they depended upon. Evolution had equipped them for resilience as well as strength. Raptors had a killing claw that curved like a sickle. Raptors, small, agile predators, like Velociraptor and Deinonychus, carried one of the most iconic weapons of the dinosaur age, a sickle-shaped claw on each hind foot. This claw, often several inches long, was held off the ground to stay razor sharp. In combat, it could slash down with deadly precision, tearing into prey. Imagine a raptor leaping forward, gripping with its forelimbs while driving the curved claw into its target, a maneuver both terrifying and efficient. The shape of the claw is so distinctive that it has become a symbol of predatory dinosaurs. Its design reveals the fine balance between form and function, crafted by evolution for maximum impact. These claws made raptors some of the most dangerous hunters of their ecosystems, proving that size wasn't necessary to be a fearsome predator. Sometimes, a single curved claw was weapon enough. Those claws were sharper than steak knives. Fossilized raptor claws reveal edges that, when fresh, would have been sharp enough to slice through flesh with ease. Microscopic studies show grooves and wear patterns consistent with repeated cutting motions, much like blades honed through use. Imagine encountering a predator armed with knives strapped to its feet, striking with surgical precision. Raptors could leap and kick, delivering slashing wounds that quickly incapacitated prey. Combined with their agility and intelligence, these claws turned relatively small dinosaurs into lethal hunters. Some scientists even suggest the claws were used not just for killing, but for gripping, pinning prey, while the raptor's jaws delivered the final bite. Either way, they were devastating tools. These claws remind us that evolution can create weapons as refined and efficient as anything humans have ever forged. They were natural blades, sharper than steel knives, carried into battle millions of years before we walked the earth. The Giganotosaurus was larger than T-Rex. For decades, Tyrannosaurus rex held the crown as the largest carnivorous dinosaur. But discoveries in South America revealed a challenger, Giganotosaurus. This massive predator stretched over 40 feet long, larger than most estimates of T-Rex. Its skull alone measured more than 5 feet. Unlike the bone-crushing bite of T-Rex, Giganotosaurus relied on slicing. Its teeth were sharp and serrated, designed to tear through flesh in huge chunks. It may have hunted giant herbivores like Argentinosaurus, using its speed and size to overwhelm them. Imagine a predator longer than a bus, stalking across the plains of ancient Patagonia, jaws lined with blade-like teeth. Though it lived millions of years earlier than T-Rex, its discovery proved that giant predators evolved multiple times across the world. Giganotosaurus reminds us that T-Rex, though iconic, was not the only contender for king of the dinosaurs. The Argentinosaurus may have been the largest land animal ever. Among the giants of prehistory, few stand taller than Argentinosaurus. This titanosaur stretched an estimated 100 feet in length and may have weighed over 70 tons, making it one of the largest land animals ever to live. To imagine its size, picture a creature longer than a basketball court and as heavy as more than a dozen elephants. Its bones were so massive that a single vertebra weighed more than a human. Yet despite their bulk, these giants survived by moving in herds, stripping vast amounts of vegetation as they traveled. Their necks stretched into treetops, their tails swayed like moving bridges behind them, and their footsteps shook the ground. Seeing an Argentinosaurus in life would have been like watching a living mountain walk past you. Their sheer existence shows just how far evolution could push the limits of size on land. The smallest known dinosaur weighed less than a mouse. Not all dinosaurs were towering giants. In fact, one of the smallest known species, Microraptor and even tinier relatives, weighed less than a modern mouse. Some may have been no longer than a human hand, darting among branches in search of insects. Their delicate skeletons, feathered bodies, and lightweight frames reveal a very different side of the dinosaur story. These miniature predators or omnivores may have lived quick, frantic lives, avoiding larger dinosaurs while competing with early mammals and reptiles for food. Imagine crouching in a prehistoric forest and noticing a flicker of movement. A tiny, feathered creature no bigger than a sparrow, its eyes alert, its claws razor-sharp for its size. These small dinosaurs remind us that evolution isn't only about grandeur. Some of the most successful creatures survive by staying small, agile, and overlooked. Proof that dinosaurs came in every possible size. Dinosaurs coexisted with early mammals. Dinosaurs dominated the Mesozoic era, but they didn't rule alone. Small mammals scurried at their feet, sharing forests and burrows, living in the shadows of giants. These mammals were often tiny, nocturnal creatures that survived by eating insects, hiding underground, and avoiding attention. Fossils show that they developed alongside dinosaurs for over 100 million years, quietly persisting even as the dinosaurs evolved into ever stranger and more powerful forms. Some early mammals were glayers, others bore live young, and some were surprisingly adaptable. Though dwarfed by their reptilian neighbors, they set the stage for the mammals that would flourish after the dinosaurs' extinction. Imagine a Mesozoic night, the forest alive with the roars and footsteps of dinosaurs, while beneath the ferns, small, furry creatures scurried in secret. Their coexistence was a delicate balance, giants above, survivors below, shaping the course of life's future. Some mammals even preyed on baby dinosaurs. While most mammals of the dinosaur age were small and vulnerable, some were bold enough to hunt. Fossils reveal tiny mammals with dinosaur bones in their stomachs, proof that at least some preyed on hatchlings. These daring hunters were likely opportunists, taking advantage of nests left unguarded, or targeting newly hatched dinosaurs still fragile and weak. Imagine a scene in which a mammal no bigger than a house cat sneaks into a nest, its sharp teeth tearing into baby dinosaurs before darting back into the shadows. For all their size and power, dinosaurs were not invincible. Their young were vulnerable, and even the smallest creatures found ways to exploit them. This reversal of roles reminds us that ecosystems are complex, and even the rulers of Earth had to contend with dangers from unexpected places. Dinosaurs and flowers evolved around the same time. The age of dinosaurs wasn't just a story of animals, it was also a time of profound change in the plant world. Around the mid-Cretaceous period, flowering plants began to spread. Before this, ferns, conifers, and cycads dominated the landscape. But flowers brought new colors, scents, and strategies for reproduction. Dinosaurs walked through forests that were slowly blooming, filled with early blossoms unlike anything seen before. These plants may have co-evolved with herbivorous dinosaurs, offering new food sources while relying on animals to spread their pollen and seeds. Imagine a hadrosaur grazing among cycads, then lifting its head to pluck at bright, fragrant flowers, scattering petals across the ground. The rise of flowering plants reshaped ecosystems forever, laying the foundation for modern landscapes. Dinosaurs were there to witness the first gardens Earth ever produced. By the end of the Cretaceous, flowering plants dominated Earth. What began as a quiet spread in the mid-Cretaceous became a revolution. By the time the last dinosaurs walked the Earth, flowering plants had come to dominate most ecosystems. Forests and plains alike were filled with blooms, fruits, and seeds. This change transformed the diets of herbivorous dinosaurs, giving them access to new types of food. It may also have influenced the evolution of smaller dinosaurs and early birds, many of which likely played roles in pollination or seed dispersal. Imagine Cretaceous landscapes not as monotonous green jungles, but as colorful worlds filled with flowers, buzzing insects, and feeding dinosaurs. The rise of angiosperms reshaped not only plant life, but entire food chains, setting the stage for modern ecosystems long before mammals came to dominate. Dinosaurs lived in a world flowering into something new. unknowingly preparing the ground for our own age. Some dinosaurs probably pollinated plants. If flowering plants rose during the dinosaur age, it seems likely some dinosaurs helped them spread. Just as bees, birds, and bats pollinate flowers today, small feathered dinosaurs or primitive birds may have carried pollen from blossom to blossom. Fossils show that certain small species fed on nectar-like substances or fruits, behaviors that would naturally lead to pollination. Imagine a tiny, feathered dinosaur hopping through underbrush, sticking its snout into a flower, then flitting to another plant, unknowingly performing the same ecological role as a hummingbird. While we may never know all the details, the timing of flowers' rise and the presence of small, agile dinosaurs strongly suggest they worked together in shaping ecosystems. The flowers offered food, the dinosaurs, in turn, carried their pollen. It's a quiet, beautiful reminder that evolution is not just competition, but also cooperation across worlds. Dinosaurs farted enough methane to change the climate. It sounds almost humorous, but research suggests it may be true. Dinosaurs, especially the giant sauropods, may have produced enough methane through digestion to influence Earth's climate. Like cows today, plant-eating dinosaurs relied on gut bacteria to break down fibrous vegetation, producing methane as a byproduct. Given their size and numbers, the amount could have been enormous. Scientists estimate sauropod emissions may have warmed the planet by several degrees, contributing to the already hot climate of the Mesozoic. Imagine entire herds grazing across plains, the air subtly altered by the gases they released. Though comical, it highlights the profound impact living creatures can have on global systems. Dinosaurs remind us that Earth's climate has always been influenced not just by geology and atmosphere, but by the very breath, and yes, even the digestion, of the animals that call it home. Some may have helped spread seeds through their dung. Dinosaurs didn't just eat plants, they also helped spread them. Fossilized dung, called coprolites, sometimes contain seeds, showing that dinosaurs swallowed them while feeding, and later deposited them far from the original plant. In this way, dinosaurs acted as gardeners of their world, carrying seeds across landscapes in their massive bodies. This process, called endozootury, still shapes ecosystems today, carried out by elephants, birds, and countless other animals. Imagine a giant sauropod lumbering across a plain, leaving behind not just footprints, but the beginnings of future forests in its droppings. The relationship between dinosaurs and plants was reciprocal. Plants fed dinosaurs, and dinosaurs gave plants a way to expand. These hidden partnerships remind us that evolution is often a story of quiet cooperation. Even the waste of the largest animals carried the seeds of new life. Fossils preserve dinosaur stomach contents. Every so often, paleontologists uncover fossils that hold more than just bones. They contain the last meals of dinosaurs, preserved for millions of years. These rare finds give us an intimate look into daily life. Some fossils show partially digested plants, revealing the types of vegetation available in prehistoric forests. Others contain fish bones, small reptiles, or even other dinosaurs, frozen mid-digestion. These snapshots are invaluable, proving not just what dinosaurs could eat, but what they actually did eat. One fossilized microraptor, for instance, contained the remains of a bird, showing its predatory habits in vivid detail. These stomach stones of time let us peer directly into the private moments of survival, when hunger drove action. It's humbling to realize that the remains of a single meal can last for millions of years, telling stories of what life was like on a random day in the deep past. Fossilized dung is called coprolite. It might sound unglamorous, but fossilized dinosaur dung known as coprolite, is one of the most fascinating kinds of fossils. These ancient droppings harden over time, preserving not just waste but tiny fragments of what dinosaurs ate. Seeds, bones, shells, and plant fibers sometimes remain locked inside, turning dung into a prehistoric diary of diet and ecosystem. By studying coprolites, scientists learn how food chains were structured, what kinds of plants grew in certain regions, and even how digestive systems functioned. Some coprolites are small and delicate, while others are massive, weighing dozens of pounds. The study of coprolite is a reminder that no trace of life is too humble to matter. Even waste becomes treasure when it holds information from a vanished world. Through coprolite, dinosaurs continue to share secrets they left behind in the most unexpected way. One coprolite weighed more than 40 pounds. Among the largest pieces of fossilized dung ever discovered is a specimen believed to have come from a massive predator, possibly Tyrannosaurus rex. This coprolite weighed over 40 pounds, heavier than a cinder block. Inside, scientists found fragments of bone, suggesting the predator consumed and expelled huge amounts of prey. Discoveries like this are astonishing because they offer direct evidence of how much food dinosaurs consumed and how their digestive systems handled it. It's almost comical to imagine such an enormous creature leaving behind such a monumental pile, but for paleontologists, it's a goldmine of information. Large coprolites tell us about diet, metabolism, and even the speed of digestion. What seems humorous at first quickly becomes awe-inspiring. Even the waste of the largest dinosaurs was immense enough to become part of the fossil record, enduring through deep time as a record of life's most basic processes. Some dinosaurs swallowed stones to help grind food. Just as some modern birds swallow grit to aid digestion, certain dinosaurs gulped down smooth stones, called gastroliths, to help grind tough plant material inside their stomachs. Without chewing teeth like ours, plant-eating dinosaurs needed another way to break down fibrous leaves and stems. The stones tumbled around in their muscular stomachs, pulverizing food before it moved deeper into the digestive tract. Fossils have been found with clusters of these polished stones inside the rib cages of sauropods and other herbivores. Over time, the rocks became smooth and rounded from the constant grinding. Imagine a massive sauropod grazing on rough vegetation, then relying on a handful of swallowed stones to help process the meal. This adaptation shows how evolution often finds clever solutions with simple tools. Stones that once rolled along riverbeds became part of the machinery of digestion in some of Earth's largest animals. These stomach stones are called gastroliths. The term for these swallowed stones is gastroliths, from Greek roots meaning stomach stones. They've been found not only in dinosaurs, but also in other prehistoric reptiles, and even some marine creatures like plesiosaurs. The presence of gastromyths helps confirm behaviors that bones alone cannot reveal. Their polish and wear show they were not swallowed by accident, but intentionally, serving a real purpose in digestion. In some fossils, gastroliths are so plentiful they seem like small rock collections nestled within the skeleton. Scientists can even trace the origin of the stones, learning where dinosaurs may have traveled to find them. Today, some birds still use gastroliths, creating a direct link between modern and prehistoric digestion. These humble stones carried within living stomachs remind us that evolution often recycles the same strategies. Gastroliths were nature's internal millstones, grinding life into fuel inside the bellies of giants. Sauropod necks could be longer than a giraffe's entire body. Among the sauropods, the long-necked giants, evolution created necks of staggering length. Some stretched over 30 feet, longer than the entire body of a giraffe. These colossal necks allowed sauropods to feed high in the trees or sweep wide areas of ground vegetation without moving their enormous bodies. The engineering involved is extraordinary. Lightweight, air-filled bones reduced weight, while strong muscles and tendons supported and moved the necks. Blood vessels would have worked hard to pump oxygenated blood to brains perched at such heights, raising questions scientists are still trying to answer. Imagine standing beneath a sauropod's head, craning your neck upward as it towers stories above you, calmly plucking leaves from treetops with movements both graceful and powerful. These immense necks transformed sauropods into living skyscrapers, redefining what it means to be large on land. Some sauropods had more than 15 vertebrae in their necks. The secret to the extraordinary necks of sauropods lies in their vertebrae. While humans have only 7 neck vertebrae, many sauropods had 15 or more, each elongated into intricate, lightweight structures. These bones weren't solid, they were filled with air sacs, reducing weight while maintaining strength. The complexity of these vertebrae is staggering, with ridges and hollows designed for muscle attachment and flexibility. Some species even evolved vertebrae that locked together in ways that stabilized the neck while still allowing sweeping motion. Imagine the neck of a diplodocus, each vertebra contributing to a chain so long it could stretch across a city street. The sheer number and design of these bones turned the sauropod neck into one of evolution's most remarkable experiments in size and function. It shows how nature can build unimaginable structures by repeating and extending the simplest units. Titanosaurs had skin studded with bony plates. While many sauropods were massive but relatively unarmored, Titanosaurs, some of the largest land animals ever, added protection. Fossils reveal that their skin was studded with osteoderms, bony plates embedded like armor beneath the surface. These plates varied in size, from small nodules to large shields several inches across. They may have deterred predators or provided display features, catching the light as the giants moved. The idea of a creature longer than a basketball court, its hide glinting with natural armor, is both awe-inspiring and intimidating. These osteoderms link titanosaurs to other armored reptiles like crocodiles and ankylosaurs, showing how evolution repeatedly returned to bony skin as a defensive strategy. For titanosaurs, it added yet another layer of resilience to bodies already at the edge of what nature could sustain. Their armored hides made them living fortresses as well as giants. Certain sauropods held their necks like giant vacuum hoses. Not all sauropods carried their necks upright like giraffes. Some species, like Diplodocus, seem to have held their necks out horizontally, sweeping them from side to side like colossal vacuum hoses. This posture would have allowed them to strip wide areas of vegetation without moving their massive bodies, conserving energy. Imagine a Diplodocus standing still, its 30-foot neck swaying gently across a meadow, its jaws plucking ferns and leaves in graceful arcs. This feeding strategy turned the neck into a scythe, cutting broad swaths through prehistoric forests. The contrast between upright-necked sauropods like Brachiosaurus and low-feeding ones like Diplodocus shows how even giants found unique ways to divide resources. Their necks weren't just long. They were versatile tools shaped by evolution into different feeding machines, letting multiple species of giants coexist without competing for exactly the same food. The Brachiosaurus stood as tall as a 5-story building. Among the tallest of the dinosaurs was Brachiosaurus, a creature that stood with its neck reaching higher than a 5-story building. Its front legs were longer than its back legs, tilting its entire body upward like a living crane. This unique posture gave it a towering presence, allowing it to browse leaves no other herbivore could reach. Imagine walking through a Jurassic forest and looking up to see a Brachiosaurus calmly feeding above you, its head lost in the canopy. Fossils show that its size was matched by strength. Its massive heart pumped blood with incredible force to reach its elevated brain. Standing beside one, would have been like standing at the foot of a building that could walk. Its sheer height made it one of the most breathtaking creatures of the Mesozoic, a skyscraper of flesh and bone. Some dinosaurs had nostrils high up on their heads. Brachiosaurus and some other sauropods had nostrils positioned unusually high on their skulls, near the tops of their heads. For years, this led scientists to imagine them wading in rivers like giant hippos, their nostrils acting as snorkels. While that idea has fallen out of favor, the placement is still intriguing. It may have helped with breathing while browsing high vegetation, or played a role in sound production, turning their skulls into resonating chambers. Some even suggest the elevated nostrils were linked to display, swelling with air during calls or social interactions. Imagine a Brachiosaurus, lifting its head skyward, its nostrils flaring as it released a deep, rumbling call that vibrated through the forest. Whatever the exact function, these high nostrils remind us that even small details of anatomy can carry mysteries, clues to lives lived in ways we are still trying to piece together. Dilophosaurus had twin crests on its skull. Dilophosaurus, an early Jurassic predator, was distinguished by the twin crests that rose from its skull. These thin, delicate structures were likely too fragile for combat, suggesting they were for display. Brightly colored crests could have signaled health, maturity, or dominance, making them important in social or mating behavior. Fossils show a creature about 20 feet long, one of the largest predators of its time. Imagine its silhouette against a dawn sky, twin crests glowing as it called to rivals or mates. The crests turn this predator from a simple hunter into a showpiece of evolution, balancing deadly jaws with elegance. Though popular culture has portrayed it with frills and venom, the real Dilophosaurus needed no embellishment. Its twin crests were striking enough, making it one of the most distinctive carnivores of the Jurassic. It probably didn't spit venom like in Jurassic Park. The film Jurassic Park famously depicted Dilophosaurus as a small, venom-spitting dinosaur with a dramatic frill. While the scene terrified audiences, there is no fossil evidence to support venom or frills in this species. In reality, Dilophosaurus was much larger, about 20 feet long, and relied on powerful jaws and agility rather than chemical weapons. The movie's version was pure fiction, created for cinematic effect. Still, the myth lingers, making Dilophosaurus one of the most misunderstood dinosaurs. The truth is no less fascinating. With its twin crests and predatory build, it was already a remarkable creature without the need for venom. Its story reminds us how popular culture can blur lines between fact and fantasy, but also how science can restore the wonder of the real animal. Dilophosaurus didn't need Hollywood's inventions. It was already extraordinary. Velociraptors didn't look like in the movies. They were feathered. The sleek, scaly raptors of Jurassic Park are iconic, but they are not accurate. True velociraptors were small, turkey-sized predators covered in feathers. Fossils from Mongolia reveal quill knobs on their arms, the same structures where feathers anchor in modern birds. These feathers likely helped with balance, display, and insulation, though not with full flight. Imagine a velociraptor darting through underbrush, feathers ruffling as it moved with bird-like grace. Its size was modest, but its intelligence and agility made it a formidable hunter. The feathered truth transforms our vision of raptors from reptilian monsters into bird-like predators, more hawk than lizard. This revelation doesn't diminish their fear factor. If anything, it sharpens it, turning them into swift, living links between dinosaurs and modern birds. Velociraptors weren't scaly nightmares, but feathered hunters with a strikingly modern appearance. T-Rex likely didn't roar. It may have made deep, rumbling sounds. The iconic roar of Tyrannosaurus rex is a Hollywood invention. Fossils cannot directly tell us what dinosaurs sounded like, but comparisons with modern relatives, birds and crocodiles, suggest something very different. Instead of roaring like a lion, T-Rex may have produced low, resonant rumbles or infrasound, vibrations too deep for human ears to fully detect. Such sounds can travel long distances, shaking the ground and carrying through forests. Imagine standing on a Cretaceous plain as the air vibrates with a low, chest-rattling hum, the call of a predator announcing its presence. These sounds would have been chilling, not because they were loud, but because they were deep and inescapable, felt as much as heard. The silence of fossils may leave us guessing, but evidence suggests that the voice of T-Rex was stranger and more haunting than cinema ever portrayed. Dinosaur footprints can stretch over 3 feet wide. Some of the largest dinosaur tracks ever found are wider than a human body. These impressions, pressed deep into ancient mud, can stretch over 3 feet across, marking the passage of creatures weighing tens of tons. Standing in one today is like stepping into the shadow of a ghost. Tracks this large often belong to sauropods, their immense feet spreading weight across broad surfaces. Others show the clawed toes of giant theropods, each print a record of power and motion. These tracks bring dinosaurs to life in ways skeletons cannot. They show how heavy they were, how fast they walked, and even how their toes curled into the earth. To see one is to stand where a giant once stepped, bridging millions of years in a single footprint. Each colossal track is a reminder of the scale of the animals that once ruled Earth. Fossilized trackways reveal dinosaurs running, resting, and even sliding. Tracks don't just show where dinosaurs walked, they reveal behavior. Some fossilized pathways preserve running strides, with footprints spaced far apart, showing dinosaurs sprinting at surprising speeds. Others capture resting poses, where dinosaurs crouched low, leaving impressions of bellies, tails, and even hands in the ground. In some cases, tracks show sliding marks, perhaps from animals skidding down muddy slopes or playing in wet environments. These trackways are dynamic fossils, frozen movements that bring behavior into sharp focus. Imagine the muddy Cretaceous riverbank where a dinosaur slipped, its claws scraping the ground, leaving marks we can still see today. Such details transform fossils into living stories, telling us not just what dinosaurs looked like, but how they lived, moved, and even played. The ground itself became a canvas, preserving their actions across millions of years. Some show mother dinosaurs walking with babies. Among the most touching discoveries are trackways where large dinosaur footprints are accompanied by smaller ones, moving side by side. These patterns suggest that mothers, or perhaps entire family groups, walked with their young, guiding and protecting them. The smaller tracks often stay close to the larger ones, showing the dependence of hatchlings on their parents. Some trackways even suggest coordinated group movement, with adults forming protective clusters around juveniles. Imagine a Cretaceous plain, where a mother dinosaur leads her young across soft earth, each step pressed into the mud, later hardened into stone. Millions of years later, those tracks tell a story of care, of lives lived in close connection. These footprints remind us that the bonds between parent and child stretch back deep into prehistory, written not in words, but in stone paths carved by walking feet. There are over 1,000 known dinosaur species. The diversity of dinosaurs is staggering. To date, scientists have identified over 1,000 distinct species, and new ones are named almost every month. These range from tiny bird-like predators no bigger than a pigeon to the largest creatures ever to walk the land. Each species adapted to its own niche, filling forests, plains, deserts, and wetlands. Some were armored, some were feathered, some horned, and others sailed backed or crested. The sheer variety demonstrates how successful dinosaurs were, thriving on every continent for over 160 million years. And the list is far from complete. Countless species remain undiscovered, their fossils still buried in rock. Imagine all the forms we haven't yet seen, colors, shapes, and adaptations beyond anything we've dreamed. Dinosaurs weren't just giants, they were an endlessly diverse tapestry of life, woven across deep time. New species are discovered almost every month. The age of dinosaur discovery is far from over. With ongoing excavations and advances in technology, paleontologists continue to uncover new species at an incredible pace. On average, a dozen or more new dinosaurs are described each year, each one adding another thread to the tapestry of prehistory. These finds emerge from deserts, cliffs, and quarries around the world, from China's feathered raptors to South America's titanosaurs. Some discoveries rewrite what we thought we knew, revealing unexpected features like sails, crests, or strange feeding habits. Imagine the excitement of brushing dust from a fossil that represents a species no human has ever seen before. Each new name carved into scientific history brings the ancient world back into focus, reminding us that dinosaurs were even more diverse and wondrous than we imagined. The story of dinosaurs is still unfolding, millions of years after they roamed Earth. Some fossils are found by pure accident. Not every dinosaur discovery happens through careful excavation. Some of the most remarkable fossils have been stumbled upon entirely by accident. Farmers plowing fields, construction workers digging foundations, and hikers walking in remote areas have all uncovered bones that turned out to be millions of years old. In China, a man once found what he thought were dragon bones in a riverbed, later revealed to be the remains of a dinosaur. In Canada, miners unearthed a fully preserved nodosaur, its armor and skin still intact, hidden for over 100 million years. These chance encounters remind us that the Earth still holds countless secrets just beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed. Every hill, quarry, or dried-up river could hide a window into prehistory, a story of life long gone. Sometimes, science doesn't begin in the lab or field. It begins with someone simply looking down and noticing something extraordinary. The first dinosaur fossils were mistaken for giant humans. Before science had the word dinosaur, ancient peoples found enormous bones and tried to make sense of them. In 17th century England, giant femur bones were sometimes thought to belong to humans of legendary size, echoes of biblical giants or mythic heroes. Without the framework of paleontology, people explained these discoveries with the stories they knew. Massive teeth were mistaken for those of elephants, and skull fragments were attributed to long-dead warriors. It wasn't until the 19th century that scientists like Richard Owen recognized that these bones represented an entirely different group of animals, far older than humanity itself. The realization that Earth had once been ruled by enormous reptiles reshaped science forever. But those early misinterpretations remain fascinating, proof of how humans have always looked to the past, trying to explain what lies beneath the ground. Before they were dinosaurs, they were giants in the imagination. Ancient cultures sometimes thought dinosaur bones were dragon remains. Throughout history, dragon myths have appeared in cultures all around the world, from Europe to China. Many scholars believe these stories were inspired, at least in part, by the discovery of dinosaur fossils. In China, where dragon lore is deeply rooted, large fossilized bones were often ground into powder for medicine and labeled as dragon bones. In Europe, massive femurs and vertebrae found in caves may have inspired tales of knights fighting monstrous beasts. Imagine stumbling upon a colossal skull with long, sharp teeth. Without the knowledge of paleontology, what else could it be but a dragon. These bones fueled legends for centuries, blending science and myth. In a way, dinosaurs never truly vanished. They lived on in stories, shaping the monsters of imagination long before science uncovered their true identity. Dragons, it seems, were real after all, only we call them dinosaurs today. Fossil hunters once fought wars over dinosaur bones. The 19th century saw one of the strangest rivalries in science, the Bone Wars. Two paleontologists, Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, became locked in a bitter feud over dinosaur discoveries. They raced to outdo each other, sending teams into the American West to dig up fossils at breakneck speed. Their rivalry was so intense that crews sometimes sabotaged one another's digs, destroying fossils rather than letting them fall into a rival's hands. Out of this chaos came over 100 new species, including Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and Allosaurus. But the cost was high. Mistakes, misidentified skeletons, and broken fossils littered the field. The Bone Wars remain a cautionary tale, showing both the passion and the peril of unchecked competition in science. Yet without it, paleontology might not have advanced as quickly. The dinosaurs themselves became unwilling pawns in a very human battle of pride. The Bone Wars of the 1800s named over 100 new dinosaurs. Despite the distraction and rivalry of the Bone Wars, the sheer output of discovery was staggering. Marsh and Cope's competition led to the naming of over 100 new dinosaur species in just a few decades. Many of the most famous dinosaurs we know today were first identified during this frenzy, including Diplodocus, Brontosaurus, and Stegosaurus. The fossil record of North America was opened up in spectacular fashion, filling museums with skeletons that astonished the public. Imagine being a visitor in the late 1800s, walking into a museum and seeing the towering bones of creatures no one had imagined before. For all its flaws, the Bone Wars sparked global fascination with dinosaurs and gave birth to modern paleontology as a serious science. It was a messy, dramatic chapter, but it laid the foundation for everything we know about dinosaurs today. Some Bone Wars dinosaurs later turned out to be fake. In their rush to outdo each other, Cope and Marsh often made hasty conclusions, sometimes naming species based on incomplete or misassembled fossils. Some dinosaurs they described turned out to be duplicates, representing the same animal with slight differences. Others were outright errors. One of the most famous mistakes was the first reconstruction of a sauropod with its head placed on the wrong end of its body. These blunders didn't erase the importance of their work, but they did show the risks of letting rivalry override careful science. Later, paleontologists had to untangle the errors, reclassifying species and correcting skeletal mounts in museums. Even so, these mistakes added to the drama of discovery, showing that science is rarely a straight path. Instead, it's a story of trial and error, where even errors bring us closer to the truth. Fossilized soft tissue has been found inside dinosaur bones. For decades, paleontologists assumed that only hard bones and teeth could survive millions of years. But in the early 2000s, scientists made a shocking discovery: fragments of soft tissue inside dinosaur bones. Incredibly, flexible structures resembling blood vessels and even proteins were preserved deep within the fossilized remains of species like Tyrannosaurus rex. These finds challenged our understanding of fossilization, suggesting that under the right conditions, delicate tissues could endure unimaginable spans of time. Imagine holding a fossilized bone in your hands, then realizing that inside, hidden for over 60 million years, are traces of the living animal itself. These discoveries opened tantalizing possibilities for studying dinosaurs at the molecular level, not to recreate them as in fiction, but to learn more about their biology, growth, and evolution. Fossils are not just stone sometimes. They still carry the whispers of flesh. Scientists have recovered dinosaur proteins millions of years old. Alongside soft tissue discoveries, researchers have identified proteins preserved inside dinosaur fossils, including collagen, the building block of connective tissue. These molecules are astonishingly ancient, stretching the limits of what we thought could survive deep time. Analyzing them provides clues about dinosaur physiology and their relationships to modern animals. For example, protein comparisons suggest close ties between dinosaurs and birds, supporting the evolutionary link revealed by bones and feathers. The survival of these molecules is almost miraculous, like finding a voice preserved in stone. It's not DNA. We are nowhere near cloning dinosaurs, but it is a molecular fingerprint, a trace of life carried across 60 million years. These discoveries prove that fossils are not just lifeless remnants. They are time capsules, sometimes still holding the microscopic building blocks of once living creatures. Some amber, preserved dinosaur feathers in perfect detail. In the warm forests of the Cretaceous, tree resin sometimes dripped onto dinosaurs, trapping bits of feathers before hardening into amber. Millions of years later, these golden stones reveal breathtaking detail. Fossils of amber from Myanmar preserve individual dinosaur feathers, delicate filaments that still shine with microscopic patterns. Some are even pigmented, showing colors and structures lost in stone fossils. These feathers belong to small theropods and early birds, offering direct evidence of their plumage. Imagine holding a piece of amber and peering into it to see a feather that once caught the wind in a dinosaur forest. It is as if time itself folded in half, letting us glimpse a fragment of life frozen mid-moment. Amber preserves not just feathers, but insects, plants, and entire micro-ecosystems, creating windows into the world dinosaurs actually lived in. Even dinosaur blood cells may have been discovered. Incredibly, some fossils appear to preserve structures resembling red blood cells, seen under high-powered microscopes as tiny, disc-shaped imprints. These discoveries are controversial, but if confirmed, they represent some of the most intimate traces of dinosaur life ever found. The possibility that fragments of blood could survive for tens of millions of years stretches our imagination. Scientists cannot extract DNA. The molecule is far too fragile to last that long, but the thought that microscopic echoes of dinosaur blood remain preserved is staggering. It adds a hauntingly human connection. These cells once coursed through living veins, fueling giants as they thundered across ancient landscapes. They're not the stuff of cloning fantasy. The discovery is enough to remind us that fossils are more than bones. They are memories etched into matter, down to the smallest scale of life itself. An asteroid strike 66 million years ago ended the dinosaurs' reign. The reign of the Nanavian dinosaurs ended in cataclysm. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck Earth, unleashing devastation on a global scale. In an instant, the age of dinosaurs, rulers of the planet for over 160 million years, was brought to an abrupt close. This single event reshaped the course of life, erasing giants and clearing the stage for mammals to rise. The asteroid impact remains one of the most dramatic turning points in Earth's history. Imagine a bright flash in the sky, followed by shockwaves, firestorms, and tsunamis. In days, the world was transformed. The age of dinosaurs didn't end gradually. It ended with a sudden world-shattering collision that silenced their dominion forever. The asteroid hit near modern-day Mexico. The asteroid struck what is now the Yucatan Peninsula, creating the Chicxulub crater. More than 100 miles wide, this scar beneath the Gulf of Mexico is the silent footprint of catastrophe. Geological evidence confirms the timing. matching precisely with the extinction of dinosaurs. At the moment of impact, unimaginable forces were unleashed. Rock vaporized, oceans boiled, and the very crust of Earth trembled. Today, the crater lies buried beneath layers of sediment, invisible from the surface yet unmistakable in seismic scans. It stands as a monument to destruction, proof that one moment in cosmic chance reshaped the destiny of life on our planet. It released more energy than billions of atomic bombs. The energy unleashed by the Chicxulub impact defies comprehension. Scientists estimate it equaled the power of several billion atomic bombs detonated simultaneously. The shockwaves circled the globe, triggering earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and tsunamis. The air superheated, igniting wildfires that raged across continents. Imagine standing thousands of miles away and still feeling the air sear with heat, the sky raining molten rock. The event was not just a local disaster, but a planetary one, instantaneously altering Earth's atmosphere, oceans, and land. No living creature, no matter how large, could remain untouched. In a matter of hours, the asteroid rewrote the future of life, ending one chapter and beginning another. The impact caused tsunamis taller than skyscrapers. The asteroid struck partly in shallow ocean, displacing unimaginable volumes of water. The result was tsunamis taller than skyscrapers, racing outward at jetliner speeds. Waves hundreds of feet high crashed against coastlines, tearing forests and sweeping creatures far inland. Sediment layers around the world carry traces of these colossal floods, silent testimony to their violence. Imagine the shock of entire seas heaving upward, collapsing back in towering walls of water. No shoreline was safe. For animals near the impact zone, survival was impossible. The tsunamis were just one of many terrors unleashed, but they stand as a stark reminder. When the heavens and oceans collide, the Earth itself convulses in response. It blasted molten rock across continents. The force of the asteroid's strike hurled molten rock and vaporized debris high into the atmosphere, where it spread around the globe. Red-hot fragments rained down, igniting wildfires that consumed entire forests. Some scientists believe the entire surface of the planet may have glowed with heat from the falling embers. This fiery rain added to the devastation, killing creatures far from the original impact zone. The Earth itself seemed to fight against its inhabitants, showering destruction from above. For the dinosaurs, it was not just the asteroid but the aftermath that sealed their fate. The rain of fire was a planet-wide scourge, a deadly storm of stone and flame. Ash clouds blocked the sun for years. Perhaps the most devastating effect of the impact came not from fire or flood, but from darkness. The collision threw vast quantities of ash, soot, and dust into the atmosphere, creating a global shroud. Sunlight could not penetrate. For months, perhaps even years, the world lay in twilight. Photosynthesis faltered, plants withered, and food chains collapsed. Temperatures plummeted, plunging Earth into a brief but lethal impact winter. Dinosaurs who had thrived in warm, bright environments suddenly faced cold, hunger, and silence. The long night of the asteroid was merciless, extinguishing the ecosystems that had flourished for millions of years. Plants withered, and food chains collapsed. Without sunlight, plants died. Forests turned to skeletons, fields to barren wastes. Herbivorous dinosaurs starved, and with their disappearance, predators soon followed. The delicate web of life unraveled rapidly. Fossil records show sharp declines in biodiversity, a sudden silence in once thriving ecosystems. Imagine standing in a Cretaceous forest 1 month, alive with birds, insects, and dinosaurs, and then returning home a year later to find it barren and empty. The asteroid didn't just kill with impact and fire, it killed with famine, cutting down life from its roots upward. It was the collapse of food itself that ensured the extinction of the dinosaurs. More than 75% of life on Earth went extinct. The asteroid's aftermath was so severe that over 75% of all species vanished. Dinosaurs were the most famous casualties, but marine reptiles, flying pterosaurs, and countless plants and invertebrates also disappeared. Entire ecosystems were erased. Only a fraction of life managed to endure, clinging to survival in burrows, oceans, or small ecological niches. This mass extinction reshaped the planet, clearing the stage for the rise of mammals and, much later, humans. It's sobering to realize how close life came to being entirely transformed. The asteroid didn't just end an age, it reset the balance of Earth itself. Birds are the only dinosaurs that survived. Not every dinosaur perished in the extinction. A small, feathered branch of theropods endured, the ancestors of modern birds. Their small size, flexible diets, and ability to fly may have given them the edge they needed to survive the catastrophe. From those survivors came every sparrow, pigeon, hawk, and penguin alive today. In this sense, dinosaurs never fully vanished. They still soar in our skies, perch on our rooftops, and sing in our trees. The extinction was not an ending, but a transformation. When you hear birdsong in the morning, you are listening to the living descendants of the age of dinosaurs, the last voices of a world that once thundered with giants. Every sparrow, eagle, and penguin is a living dinosaur. It's easy to forget, but every bird is a dinosaur. From the tiny sparrow hopping along a sidewalk to the eagle soaring high above mountains, they carry the lineage of theropods within their bones and feathers. Penguins, swans, hummingbirds, all are living testaments to survival through catastrophe. The dinosaurs didn't vanish entirely. They adapted, shrank, and transformed. In them, the Mesozoic still lives. The next time you see a bird take flight, remember, you are watching the continuation of a story that began over 200 million years ago. Dinosaurs walk among us still, disguised as the creatures we call birds, whispering the legacy of an age when giants ruled the earth. And so, dear listener, our journey through the world of the dinosaurs comes to a close. From chance discoveries in quiet riverbeds to the fiery end brought by an asteroid, we have wandered across deep time together. We've walked beside giants with necks that stretched like bridges, studied the delicate patterns of feathers caught forever in amber, and watched entire worlds bloom with flowers while colossal herds moved across the land. We've seen how even their footsteps, pressed into soft mud, could carry whispers across millions of years. Dinosaurs remind us that life is vast, strange, and endlessly surprising. They show us resilience and fragility, beauty and terror, silence and song. They lived for over 160 million years, far longer than humans have yet existed, and their legacy still beats in the wings of every bird that takes flight today. The sparrows in our gardens, the penguins sliding across Antarctic ice, the eagles gliding over mountain ridges, all are living reminders that the story of dinosaurs is not finished. As you lie here, letting your breathing slow, imagine the world not as it is now, but as it once was. Picture a lush Jurassic forest, humid and green, alive with birdsong that is at once ancient and familiar. Hear the rumble of footsteps in the distance, steady as the pulse of the earth itself. See the shimmer of color on feathered raptors, the towering silhouettes of sauropods moving like walking mountains, and the sudden glitter of dragonflies skimming through the air. All of it passing into stillness, into memory, into dreams. The dinosaurs lived, thrived, and transformed the planet, and then they were gone, leaving space for something new. In that way, they remind us that endings are not truly endings. They are transformations, the quiet turning of one page so that another may begin. Just as their world gave way to ours, each day gives way to night, and each waking thought drifts into dreams. If you happen to still be awake, you can go ahead and watch the next video when you're ready. But if your eyes are growing heavy, let the stories of dinosaurs carry you gently into rest. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let yourself drift into sleep, into stillness, into the vast and timeless silence where even giants once dreamed. Good night.